Emma Carter was the kind of woman people forgot to notice. Every morning in New York City, she stood behind the counter of a tiny coffee shop, smiling at strangers who barely looked up from their phones. She remembered everyone's order. Extra caramel for Jake, no sugar for Mrs. Wilson, double espresso for the tired nurse who came in every Friday morning. But no one really knew Emma. At night, she returned to her small apartment, kicked off her shoes, and listened to old voicemails from her mother. Her mom had passed away 2 years earlier from cancer. Emma never deleted the messages. "Hi, sweetheart," one voicemail said softly. "Don't work too hard, okay? And remember, you deserve happiness too." Emma listened to that message every single night. One rainy evening, just before closing the shop, a man walked in carrying a little girl wrapped in a yellow raincoat. "Sorry," the man said, exhausted. "Are you still open?" Emma smiled. "For coffee? Always." The little girl peeked over the counter. "Do you have hot chocolate?" Emma laughed gently. "The best in New York." While she prepared their drinks, she noticed the father looked completely drained. His tie was crooked, dark circles hung beneath his eyes. "Tough day?" Emma asked. The man forced a smile. "Tough year." He introduced himself as Daniel and the little girl as Sophie. Over the next few weeks, they kept returning. Sophie would draw pictures at the corner table while Daniel worked on his laptop. Slowly, Emma began looking forward to seeing them. For the first time in years, her apartment didn't feel so empty. One night, Sophie handed Emma a folded piece of paper. Inside was a drawing of the three of them holding hands beneath a giant sun. At the top, in messy crayons, it read, "My happy people." Emma's eyes filled with tears. No one had needed her in a long time. A few days later, Daniel arrived alone. He looked nervous. "Sophie's in the hospital," he said quietly. Emma's heart dropped. "She has a heart condition. Doctors say she needs surgery soon." Daniel stared down at his untouched coffee. "I'm trying to stay strong for her, but honestly, I'm terrified." Without thinking, Emma reached across the table and held his hand. "You don't have to do this alone." That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Sophie's smile. The next morning, Emma did something she had never done before. She posted Sophie's story online, not for attention, just hope. She shared drawings Sophie had made. She explained the surgery costs. She asked people to pray. At first, almost nobody responded. Then one share became 10, 10 became thousands. People across the country began donating. Teachers, firefighters, single moms, soldiers overseas. One message simply read, "For little Sophie, from someone who survived." Within 6 days, they had enough money for the surgery. Daniel broke down crying right there in the coffee shop. "I don't even know how to thank you," he whispered. Emma smiled through tears. Thank the people who still believe kindness matters. The day of the surgery, Emma sat alone in the hospital waiting room, clutching Sophie's drawing tightly against her chest. Hours passed. Finally, the doctor walked out smiling. "She's going to be okay." Daniel collapsed into tears of relief, and for the first time since her mother died, Emma cried too. Not from grief, from happiness. A few weeks later, Sophie returned to the coffee shop wearing her yellow raincoat again. She ran straight into Emma's arms. "You stayed," Sophie whispered. Emma held her tightly. "Of course I did."